Hello and welcome. Let's jump right into the episode so I don't waste your time. And what you're seeing is my guys are laying the block for the block foundation. It's going to be a crawl space foundation for the little cabin, and the cabin is 16 feet by 28, so it's 448 square feet. And I'm going to do a voiceover today, kind of as they're building and putting this thing together. I'm going to talk about what's going on and kind of important points in this construction process. So the block foundation, I'm going to also show you the price at the end of the video, as I usually do with my videos, so you'll see how much this stuff costs. And I'm also going to talk about how to get this thing cheaper, because you could get this foundation done a little bit cheaper what this came out, but I'll talk about that towards the end of the video. This foundation, if the block was a little bit lower and we didn't have the step-ups in it, and if you watched the previous episode, you know what the step-ups are, and you can see how they look. And you'll see this in the video too. Once we get to it, I'll point it out. So he's laying the block there. You can see the string, the orange string on the screen. I'm holding the camera, I guess, on an angle, so it looks kind of off, but see, he's putting the level there. Make sure everything is nice and level, and that's what's going on. So you see now he's touching everything up, so it looks nice and pretty. But that's basically what's going on. So the black foundation is actually one of my favorites, to be honest. I'm not too fond of basements because I grew up north, and basements, depends where you live, if something goes wrong, some pump goes out, they tend to flood. And speaking of flood, here we're getting ready for rain. And see, one side of the town, this is where I live basically, and people ask me why I moved here. This is why. So one side of the town looks good, and as I'm rolling to the right here, you can see the storm is coming. So the weather people said the storm might miss us, and yeah, that didn't happen. The storm definitely didn't miss us. So here's some footage of how the storm did not miss us, and we had to stop work obviously because you can't work in these conditions. So the next day it was nice and sunny, as you can see, it's nice and bright. So the guys are back at it, the string is right there. And in this one you can see the step up here. If you look to the left side, it's kind of, you see where the ground is, and then it goes a little bit higher. That's the step up. So when you're building anything in the construction, the more complicated it is, the more expensive it's going to be on you, because it's going to be more labor intensive. So keep that in mind. Some people might scoff at this. It's like, well, that's not bad. It's just a 1 step up or 2 step ups, 3 step ups, but it all adds up, and it's more complicated, and it's going to cost you more to build. So just keep that in mind if you're planning on doing something like this, building a cabin for yourself. Try to keep things as simple as you can, so it's more efficient on your pocketbook, so you don't spend money, because it all adds up with construction. I've been doing this for a while, and all these little things add up. And before you know, it's like, where did my 10, 15, 20 grand go? Because it all goes so quickly. So here's the string again. You can see the step up a little bit more clearly, right next to my shadow over there, how the ground gets a little bit higher. And like I mentioned before, you can see that in the previous episode, how those things look. So with this little cabin, what I'm trying to do is provide affordable housing. Some of you guys heard me talking about this with the first season when we built the other house, the little 930 square foot house, which was basically twice the size of this thing. I'm experimenting here, to be honest. I don't know if I'll do this again this small, but I'm curious to see if there's a market for this. So this is strictly an experiment. And I could have done this cheaper right off the bat. I can tell you, I could have saved at least $15,000 even at this step here, because I had to chop down some trees, and that costs money. And this foundation being on an angle, the ground is on an angle, it slopes, so it was also more cost. It was more expensive. So if this foundation was a little bit different, it would have been cheaper as well. And then the land itself had no restrictions, well, had very mild restrictions, but there was no restrictions on square footage, and that's why I bought it. But I could have bought land actually cheaper. If you watch the other episode, you know exactly what I paid for this land, because I share everything with you guys, and that's the purpose of this channel, to show you all this stuff, how it looks. because people really don't do this. Everybody keeps it as a secret. They don't want you to know how much stuff costs and how this thing looks when it's put together by a contractor. But that's not what this channel is about. I want to show you everything here because everybody wants a nice affordable place to live. So if you kind of take the stuff that you learn from this channel, what I'm showing you here, maybe I can save you some money. And this is what this channel is all about. So if I can help some people out, that's great, and that's what I'm doing. And speaking of helping people out, payment wise for this little cabin, I haven't honestly figured it out completely what I'm going to sell this thing yet for. But what I do know that I want the payment to be about $400, somewhere around $400 US. So if somebody's trying to buy this, maybe as a first kind of a home, a younger person, or maybe someone that's on a limited income, they don't make a lot of money, that's kind of what I'm trying to experiment here, if there's a market for this, to see how quickly this sells and if somebody buys it. So, I mean, I love what I do, and I remember what it is when you try to move out of the house and you get sticker shock because everything is so freaking expensive nowadays with mortgages. So I did something about it, and I want to show people and test the market to see if there's a market in this, and maybe I can help somebody get into an affordable house. I mean, hell, for $400 a month, some people pay that on car payments. Hell, I used to pay that in a car payment when I was young and stupid, and my payment was actually $499 because I wanted to drive a BMW, and that I got rid of that thing. But anyway, so that's my, I guess, mission with this channel, to show you how this stuff works, and in the interim help some people out, and maybe I can help somebody get into an affordable house so they don't have to spend an arm and a leg on a mortgage. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So what else we got? What else can I talk about here? Oh, I see it's laying the block. I'll make some notes here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. And speaking of the comment section, I'm going to put timestamps of all this stuff for the future videos, and in this video, kind of like if the guys are building it and when the foundation is done, or if there's anything in between all the clips. As here I'm showing you kind of how everything looks nice and beautiful. Here's a vent. That's how you get cross ventilation into the crawl space foundation. Hey, that rhymed. But I like those vents. You put them inside, they look nice and neat, and they're very easy to open. So pretty much here we are almost done. In this clip here, we poured the top of the blocks need to be poured with concrete, and that was poured about halfway. And here you can see why the foundation was costlier than it could have been. You can see all that block, so that takes labor. Here's the plastic. That's what you have to do. The pipe on the right is going to be for the plumbing. If you look to your right of the screen, that big old hole in there, so you see all the vents. And here's my crawl space entrance. So anybody that works down here, plumber, electrician, if you notice, they have a lot of room. And here we had some fun. Since it's my construction site, I'm the boss, so we had some fun, and the guys put they put that into the foundation. So whoever buys the house, this is what they're gonna have with their house. It's gonna come with it. So here I'm gonna do a little hop, and I grew up as a kid that climbed trees and roofs and everything, and just wait till you see the next episode. I just like to do stuff like this, and this is just nothing. It's just, I like crazy. Never mind. So as I'm walking here, you notice the bolts sticking out. That's how you secure the house to the foundation, and you have to have those bolts so your house doesn't slide off the foundation. I actually had a story when I was building one of my homes, and the guys that were working, different guys that were working on the house for me, they said that somebody built a barn on the side of the hill, and a crazy storm came through and knocked the barn down the hill, so destroyed everything. So here's the end of the episode, as I show you the views again, why I live here, and I'm gonna go over the stuff on the whiteboard. This is why I live here. It's beautiful. and it's like little slice of paradise. So the foundation was $7,000. That was for everything, for digging, materials, and labor. About 4 days of work. And it was a couple of guys working on the foundation, sometimes 4, but it was mostly 3 guys working on the foundation. And it was $7,000 for $4,000 of work. It could have been cheaper, like I told you. If this was on a slab, if you look to the right, if this was on a slab, I talked to my slab guy, and he said for a 16 by 28 cabin, he could have done a slab foundation for $3,500. So keep that in mind if you're looking for land, to find something maybe that is flat, so you don't have to do any grading, any digging, and if you can put a slab foundation. So right off the get-go, you can get a foundation for $3,500, which is pretty much like a price of a trailer for those tiny homes that you see online, which I love watching those shows, especially Living Big, that channel, YouTube channel. I love that channel. Bryce over there, I think he's from New Zealand. The previous house was the foundation for the 930 square foot house, if you watch my other episodes, was $6,000, and that was a slab foundation. So keep that in mind. If you go with a slab foundation, you're gonna have less to worry about, and it's gonna be cheaper on you. So that's pretty much all I got. As I pen here to the right, thank you very much for watching. I'll stop babbling because it was a lot of talking in this episode, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.